Hi, this is Imcanish and welcome to another marvelous video. As the easiest anagram of his name suggests, Crule was an ancient berserker who lived up to his legacy of being known as the most meanest and maddest of the externals. He was a fearsome figure of the ancient world. He belonged to a rare subspecies of mutant immortals called externals. The externals were a powerful and mysterious race, and Crule was one of the most powerful and feared among them. He was renowned for his ferocity. He was respected and feared by many, and his legacy lives on to this day. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The backstory of Crule explained. X-gene mutations cause mutants to have extraordinary abilities that Homo sapiens don't possess. Most mutants show these powers during their teenage years, while some display them earlier or later in life. These abilities can differ wildly from one mutant to another, but we're not here to talk about all of those mutants, but a subspecies of them. The externals are a mysterious and powerful group of immortals with a mysterious past that dates back to the beginning of humanity. In recent times, they have become embroiled in a variety of conflicts, from the battling the X-Men to opposing Apocalypse and the Shadow King. It is believed that there are 9 or possibly 10 of these remarkable beings, and that their shared immortality creates a special bond between them. This bond has been tested repeatedly as they face off against some of the most powerful forces in the world. It is this bond that makes them truly unique among the immortals. The legend of Crule, the powerful sorcerer and immortal mutant, has been passed down for generations throughout the northern part of Africa. According to the stories, Crule possessed a great deal of magical and occult knowledge, as evidenced by his frequent invocation of Ishtar and Mitra, two powerful figures during the Hyborian Age. This mythical age is believed to have been around 12,000 BCE, after the fall of Atlantis and before the dawn of recorded history. It is said that Crule was able to manipulate energy and produce a variety of magical effects, which was further validated by his mastery of alchemy. His incredible power and influence have made him an enduring figure in African folklore. Crule's predilection for indulging his feral impulses meant he had no place in the machinations of the High Lords to govern the earth, and so the other externals employed him for the purpose of enforcement and assassination, albeit with caution. In the 12th century, Andra refused to be part of the High Lords, yet Crule and his allies, Selene, Saul, Nicodemus, and Ensaban-Nur, continued to support her in the task of extracting the energy from her eternal heart and storing it in a stone. Gideon declared that during the Second World War, he was employed in a concentration camp where his task was to oversee the functioning of a gas chamber. He recounted that when he watched Crule undertaking his job in the gas chamber, he felt oddly satisfied with his job, notwithstanding the dismal circumstances of the camp. His role during the clash of the externals. The High Lords were taken aback when Gideon proposed a plan to entice Cannonball by killing Cable, his mentor and a threat to their anonymity. Saul and Nicodemus ultimately agreed to it, despite Absalom and Burke's misgivings. In the Lowtown section of Madripoor, an ancient city island located close to China, Crule was playing poker in a bar where he noticed the dealer cheating. His violent nature took over and he caused destruction inside the bar. Gideon showed up, giving Crule the opportunity to finally express his half of a century of hatred towards him. Initially, Crule had the upper hand in the fight, but then Gideon used his power to double the abilities of others, allowing him to gain the advantage and ultimately defeat Crule. Gideon and Crule clashed as Gideon implored Crule to help him take down the recently emerged High Lord. X-Force uncovered Domino's unfaithfulness and interrogated her about it. Cable was ready to pardon her, but the rest of the team, however, still did not trust her. Cable eventually crafted a plan to use Domino as part of a ploy to reach Tolliver. GW Bridge greets the crew and introduces them to Grizzly, explaining that they are preparing to battle Cable. Grizzly then declares that he has a strong rationale for wanting to join their team, since Cable has done him wrong. The team commences their long 16-hour journey to the X-Force base, situated in the Adirondack Mountains, and decide to take a break for a rest. Domino appears on the monitor, conversing with Tolliver and making it known that she has planned for the base to self-destruct self-destruct at the time of an X-Force training session in order to eradicate them completely. Cable notices and devises a plan to detonate the bomb, giving the impression that everyone has been killed and taking back the battle to Tolliver. Richter is stoically standing on the aircraft carrier, ruminating over what the future might bring. Kane strides in and queries the reason why Richter has not snoozed. Richter clarifies that he encountered Cable a decade ago and saw him slaying his dad. Therefore, he has a valid justification to guarantee Cable is apprehended. And the Weapon X is boiling with indignation because of all the pain Cable has inflicted in the past. Both of them journeyed to Gideon's luxurious penthouse apartment situated on top of the administrative offices of the Oprah Industries in Denver. When they reached the destination, Crule wanted to attack Roberto da Costa, but Gideon, still feeling the effects of his relationship with Crule, ferociously punched Roberto until he lost consciousness. Cable is suspended above a waterfall with an unconscious Domino in his grasp. He is being carried downstream, narrowly escaping the explosion of the X-Force's old headquarters. Upstream, X-Force is regrouping from the destruction of their base, saved by Cannonball's blast shield, and with the majority of weapon prime unaccounted for. Kane makes it known that he still plans to make X-Force atone for Cable's transgressions, just as S.H.I.E.L.D. appears and orders them to surrender. Refusing to comply, X-Force sets about wrecking S.H.I.E.L.D.'s vehicles. Meanwhile, Crule, the externals, lurk on a mountainside waiting for a chance to get at Sam, now unprotected by Cable. Cable arrived at Domino's location with the intention of confronting her about her betrayal of his team. Professor X was waiting for them at Cable's covert base, Grey Malkin, but the strong electromagnetic force in the area prevented him from teleporting the X-Force to the base. Cable loaded Domino and some weapons into a vehicle and they set out to find Tolliver. X-Force continued their mission, taking out S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives and their vehicles. Kane then pulled a weapon on them, revealing that he was part of X-Force since Cable was absent. Cannonball got on the IPAC unit and declared that the battle was over and the X-Force were taking control of it. Richter then joined the team and they departed. Two scientists had a dialogue regarding their experiment and its potential aftermath if they choose to move forward with it. They were apprehensive that their solar absorption device might injure Sunspot, but in the end chose to continue. When they activated the device, Sunspot let out an agonizing scream. The X-Force united in their choice to flee from S.H.I.E.L.D.'s clutches. They agreed to retreat to Camp Verde, New Mexico, the former residence of Warpath, in the hope that their location would remain secret, allowing them to stay hidden. Suddenly, Crule forcefully burst through the IPAC window and seized Cannonball. He threatened to break him apart to show that even an immortal could be killed. Domino cautiously guides Cable into a dank subterranean sewage system beneath Tolliver's secret hideout. She explains that Tolliver was overly confident, assuming no one would ever be bold enough to penetrate his stronghold. Cable then brandishes his gun and makes a hole in the door, announcing that he has come to put an end to Tolliver's reign. As they enter, they spot Pico standing there, brandishing a whip. Without hesitation, Cable fires at him, and they continue onward. Domino apologized profusely, stating that she was unaware of the dangers that awaited them. Suddenly, the real Domino is revealed, gagged and chained up, ready to be rescued. The imposter Domino starts to speak, but is abruptly stabbed in the back by Deadpool, while Tolliver lurks in the shadows. Crule abundantly smashes the IPAC's window screen and menaces to the end Cannonball's life. In response, Shatterstar promptly attacks, cutting him with his weapon, but it appears to have no effect on Crule. Richter then moves forward, ready to utilize his vibing power, but Sam intervenes and inquires what is the purpose of his presence. Crule responds that Gideon and the externals were aware of his resurrection and wanted to eliminate him as soon as possible. In the end, Cannonball permits Richter to launch him from the aircraft and into the wilderness. Subsequently, the group decides to go to Gideon's fortress in Denver. Cable was stunned when he saw the body of the woman he thought was Domino lying on the floor covered in blood, but the real Domino was actually chained to a wall. Deadpool then told them that his girlfriend Vanessa had been undercover in X-Force for more than a year, and Domino had been held captive by Tolliver at this time. Cable then attacked Deadpool and threw him down and rushed to free Domino. However, Deadpool immediately got back up and was about to kill Cable when Domino shot him in the back. Deadpool had unknowingly let her go while fighting with Cable. They then set off together to confront Tolliver. The squad arrives in Colorado and Gideon appears on their ship's screen. He gives them an ultimatum. They can try to hunt him down, which would mean Sunspot's demise, or they can save their buddy. Gideon asks Sam to promise that if he supplies the whereabouts of Sunspot, he will never track the externals. Sam agrees, and they set their journey to New Mexico. Researchers are incessantly running trials on Sunspot and assessing his capabilities for solar power assimilation. He wails in distress. The X-Force then appears, wrecking the region in pursuit of Sunspot. Once they spot him, he is radiating like the sun, so Cannibal quickly snatches him up and launches towards the sky. Bobby instructs Sam to free him, and he soars even higher. Abruptly, a tremendous explosion rips the sky, and the team starts to scan for any survivors. Cable and Domino quickly hopped onto the Tolliver's chopper before it took off. Cable commanded Domino to leap off the chopper in order to guarantee the well-being of X-Force until he got back. She obeyed his orders, and Cable then concentrated on Tolliver and fired at the flying machine. After the helicopter was demolished, Cable teleported to Grey Mountain. The remains of a mask as well as Tolliver's clothes were observed in the water. After he got back on his feet, Deadpool figured out that Vanessa was alive and had run away. He then teleported away. The professor warmly greeted Nathan as he arrived at Grey Malkin. Without delay, Cable strode to the biokinesis machinery to mend the gash in his visage. After tending to the injury, the professor asked why Nathan appeared so despondent. Cable answered that he was ready to transition from the prey to the predator. X-Force arrives at Camp Verde with trepidation, wondering what has become of Cannibal and Sunspot. Soon, however, Boom Boom emerges from the iPack and brings them the good news that Cannibal and Sunspot are safe and sound, and welcomes Sunspot to the group. Warpath then wonders what their plan should be now that they are fugitives. Cannibal answers that the only thing they can do is to keep fighting to stay alive, just like they always have. Some of his other major comic book story arcs. 1. Prisoners of Fate. Crule sustained serious injury, requiring him to be hospitalized at St. Anthony's Hospital in Portland, Maine. It was here that the legacy virus was first unleashed on mutant kind, though the immortal externals were immune. Nicodemus was the first among them to succumb to the virus, which prompted Gideon and Soul to attempt to manipulate Cannibal into breaking their agreement by kidnapping Warpath, Boom Boom, and Siren. Cannibal dispatched his X-Force group to recover their companions, and they tracked down Crew in the medical clinic. The group made an understanding with him that if he shared with them the data they required about the externals, they would take him out one by one. Crew, wishing to put his kindred High Lords in their place, was enthusiastic to give the data. In the end, X-Force had the option to save their companions, and out of dread that Crew could retaliate against them, they threw him off the vessel and set sail. 2. Newer Mutants. At one point, Selene made a failed attempt to absorb the remnants of the other externals. However, 10 years later, Crule, Nicodemus, and Absalom were resurrected after sensing Kandra's death caused by a more powerful being. Working with Selene to combat this threat, the four went to the Hellfire Club in Manhattan, where they encountered Cable, Shatterstar, Dupe, and Longshot. After determining that neither group was responsible for Kandra's death, the four allowed the others to leave with just a warning to stay away from all the external matters. Later, they joined Selene at the Atlantic Ocean off Greenland's coast and witnessed her restoring Blink from death to assist in their mission. The following day, Blink teleported Selene, Nicodemus, and herself to Orkhon Valley in Mongolia to investigate Sol's death. While Selene, Blink, and Nicodemus stayed with Sol's body, Crule and Absalom went ahead. Upon arriving, they encountered Shatterstar, Longshot, and X-23, who showed their displeasure with Cable's interference by attacking. Longshot ran ahead to surprisingly find Blink, Nicodemus, and Selene safe. Crule and Absalom then fought X-23 and Shatterstar, and even though Crule was struck a few times in the back and of the head, they all left upon sensing Burke's death. Crule and the others journeyed to Burke's cabin in the woods of Tonsaket, Washington. When they arrived, they discovered that Burke had passed away without any signs of a struggle. This left them believing that the only one that could have caused this was Gideon. After Nicodemus set fire to the cabin to give their fallen comrades a funeral, they set off to Colorado to find him. However, when they confronted him, they realized he was not the same Gideon they knew, but one from 3,000 years in the future. Crule was preparing to take action when Selene called for help, only to be speared through the heart by Absalom. This revealed that, much like Burke, Crule wanted to die and had helped Gideon make that happen before turning on Nicodemus. Before Absalom and Gideon could finish Selene off, she used Blink to teleport them back to Canyon of the Gunnison in Colorado, where Cable and the others were. With the combined might of Crule, Kandra, Burke, and others, including Gideon, was no match for Cable and his allies, Shatterstar, Armor, Longshot, and X-23. Despite Selene's formidable strength, Gideon was held at bay, as Cable, with Dupe's aid, diverted his attention. Blink then opened and closed a portal, swiftly beheading Gideon. After foiling Gideon's attempt to attain the same godhood Selene had once sought by stealing the essence of the other externals, Cable said that only another external could have slain him. Consequently, Gideon's failure implies that they will soon return. 3. External Gateway. Apocalypse made the choice to answer the summons from their shared psychic link. He went to the Eternal Calidra of Krakoa and then joined Selene, Kandra, Gideon, and others waited for him. When Apocalypse arrived, he revealed that what his hidden weapon was. It was an enhanced Richter, who burst from the ground and killed Crule. Later, Nicodemus, Soul, and Kandra followed Apocalypse's summons through their telepathic connection, traveling to the Eternal Calendra of Krakoa. The group refused to follow his plans or give up their lives for his ambitions, but Crule's life energy, as well as the energies of the others, was transformed into the stones that powered the Eternal Gate, confined them, and allowed all the inhabitants of Krakoa to enter the otherworld as Apocalypse had planned. What makes Crule so powerful? Is he really immortal? Crule is one of the most physically intimidating characters in the Marvel Universe, although in comparison to the other externals, he's much less powerful. This deep purple with strong, manly features and a muscular body can lift up to 13 tons without any difficulty. His body is remarkably resilient, having withstood a blow from Richter at close range and a plunge of several thousand feet and still walking away unscathed. He has also been able to take hits from Shatterstar, Feral, and X-23, coming out of the battle unscathed. His superhuman hearing was also evident when he was able to detect a radio discussion within a SHIELD helicopter from 100 feet away. His existence was brought to a close when the ageless mutant and Empress of the Hellfire Association, Selene, initiated a killing spree of the externals by taking their life energies due to her power to take in energy. Crule encountered his demise with the other externals, while in the presence of Absalom when he encountered Selene. Conclusion. If there's one thing that comes to mind when you think of Crule, the fictional supervillain appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, is an intimidating and savage mutant, the one who was a legendary being among the externals, an advanced race of godlike beings, and Crule was also known to be an infamous brute in the Marvel fandom. His real name is unknown, but he is known by many aliases, including the Mad Titan, the Lord of Chaos. He is absolutely detested for his savage and cruel nature, and his involvement in Nazi concentration camps in the past doesn't look that out of character in any way when you get to know his character. Crule is driven by his need for power and the desire to become the most powerful being in the universe. He has clashed with many of the most powerful heroes and villains in the Marvel Universe, including Thor, Silver Surfer, and Thanos. Although he is often defeated by other characters, he has proven to be a formidable and dangerous foe, someone you should never cross. He is also a highly skilled strategist and has been known to manipulate events to his advantage. He is also a master of manipulation, using his vast intelligence and knowledge to deceive and manipulate his enemies. Crule is a powerful and dangerous being who is not to be underestimated. And if you liked our content, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. So have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.